Hi, welcome to Movies and PJs. I am PJ, and today we're gonna talk about Stranger Things. Okay, so Stranger Things has finally come to an end after 10 long years of a genuinely great journey, in my opinion. And, well, as someone who was satisfied with season 5 and the ending in general, and as someone who has been on the internet this past few days, the discourse surrounding it is just annoying. There are two kinds of people who dislike the show that I've seen. On one side, there are a bunch of people who are expecting the Duffers to subtly turn into geniuses, which they have never shown the capacity of being, and then they're disappointed that they were revealed as just mid-writers, which they have always been. And then, on the other side, we have people just hating on every single thing and saying everything is a plot hole or an unanswered question. But no, not really. Do you guys even know what a plot hole is? Well, some of you seem not to know. So here it is. A plot hole is a gap or inconsistency in a storyline that goes against the logical flow established by the story's plot. And in that vein, an unanswered question is, well, a question that doesn't have an answer, evidently. So, in this video, I have decided to debunk the internet discourse saying that the ending of Stranger Things has a million plot holes and leaves a ton of questions unanswered. I will use the compiled questions by two creators I follow. They'll be linked below. They are Think Story here on YouTube and Spencer on TikTok. This video is not a hate video in any way. Its purpose is simply to show another side of the story, because I believe Stranger Things Season 5 is being a victim of herd mentality. And of course, when the critique is valid, or, if I cannot point a flaw in it, I will concede. So without further ado, let's go. Question 1. How did Max graduate when she was in a coma for a year and a half? Okay, so I googled for like a minute, and in the US, there are programs for students that go absent from school due to illness or temporary incapacitation, so they can accelerate learning and graduate with their peers. There are things like summer school, 504 plans, and individualized education programs. It's all very complicated, but importantly, it is from a law from 1973, so something that Max would have been able to access. Question number 2. Why didn't Joyce and Hopper acknowledge they studied with Vecna? Well, this one is a bit tricky because, should Joyce have mentioned it? Well, yes. Is it a plot hole that she doesn't address this? No. Would I have liked to have seen it be addressed? Well, yeah. Does the story stop making sense by the fact it's not addressed? No. As you've seen in this video, I'm no way saying that I like every part of how the story ends. I'm merely pointing out that some of the critiques of this season are just nitpicking. Question number 3. Why does Karen and William have massive scar in the graduation scene, but they have disappeared in the end scene? Well, might be the lighting. I don't have a big monitor, so I couldn't check it. But might as well have been a production failure. This one is a valid critique. Okay, question number 4. What happened to Dr. K? Well, I felt like they were setting up a redemption arc for her, but it got cut out last minute, though we didn't need to know what happened to her specifically. Her character did lack depth, so that's another one I will concede. Question number 5. What happened to all those pregnant women in the Upside Down? Did they murder them by destroying the Upside Down? Well, this point here is just to show that I believe, some of you guys need to start thinking a little bit more about these things. The pregnant women were already dying from Kylie's blood, as she herself says in episode 5. So, when they destroyed the Upside Down, and by extension Dr. K's lab, they simply mercy killed them. It's not a murder. Question number 6. Did the rest of the Turnbull family survive their drug buy? I'll let Dustin answer this one.
Do you need to be told everything? You're not a child.
Question number 7. This one feels a bit like rage bait. Like, why are leaves falling in the graduation scene when graduation is set in spring? But it was literally just Erica's confetti machine. So I'm gonna presume it's either rage bait or like this person doesn't know what they're talking about. Question number 8. How come there's no scar from Harry's gunshot when he got shot as a child? Probably because the Duffers kept retconning things, but also I'll concede he should have a scar. Question 9. If the Demogorgons and Demodogs originating from the Abyss, how come there aren't any in the final battle? Well, great question. My theory is their bodies were used to make a body for the Mind Flayer, but the Duffers kind of said something else. They just kind of forgot, like D&D from Game of Thrones, so who knows? Another one I will concede. Okay, so question number 10. Are we expected to know the entire plot of the stage play to understand the vital plot points of the show? Speaking of which, the briefcase in the case, why did the writer change its contents from advanced military tech as seen in the play to pulsating black stone? Well, the first question presumes the play is unimportant, the second presumes that it is important, so make up your mind. Question number 11. How did Derek get through that hole? Okay, that's just fat phobia. I'm not engaging with it. Question number 12. How did Hopper get his police chief job back when, for the last 2 years, he was either imprisoned in Russia or presumed dead? Considering this, how did Hopper get a job offer in Montauk? That was weird, I will say, but only the first part. The other part doesn't make sense. He clearly is a good police chief. Why wouldn't Montauk want him? Question 13. Lucas was brutally stabbed and injured in episode 4, but the next day he's carrying around Max like nothing happened. Well, no, Lucas' wounds were superficial, as they said in episode 5 of season 5 when Mike, Joyce, and Will meet him in the caves.
'Tis but a scratch. A scratch?
Question number 14. Will has been physically linked to Vecna and the Hive Mind, but when Vecna is destroyed, there's seemingly no connection. Well, yeah, but Will also killed the demons and didn't feel it, so it's safe to presume that when he's in control of the powers, he doesn't feel what the Hive feels. That can be seen even in the last episode. When Will is seeing through Vecna's eyes, he feels the gunshot. When his eyes turn white and he breaks Vecna's arms, he doesn't feel anything. Same thing happened with the Demogorgons in episode 5 and when the demo were being electrocuted in episode 5, I think. Question number 15. Are Susie and Dustin still dating? She's never seen or mentioned in the final season. Well, I would wonder if Dustin pushed everyone away. Wouldn't it stand to reason that he pushed Susie away too? Also, didn't Susie's dad take her computer because she was dating an agnostic? Question 16. Where is Argyle? In California, high as a kite. Question 17. Where is Dr. Owens? With Argyle, hopefully, though I would have liked to seen it. Another one I will concede. Question 18. Are Robin and Vicky still together? Well, Robin does say that she hopes overbearing significant others will not keep them apart. That leads us to safely presume she's talking about Vicky. So again, not a plot hole, not an unanswered question. It's up to you, it's kind of open, but not really. Question 19. What happened to Murray? Well, I hope he died. Annoying character. Okay, so question 20. Max sees young Joyce and Harry memories, but never confronts her about it. That kind of annoys me because people were complaining about Will's coming out scene, saying it killed the pacing of episode 7, and then want Max to stop and ask Joyce about the stuff. I hope it's not the same people, but from what I've seen, it usually is. Question 21. In early season, the Upside Down is depicted as having no liquid, yet somehow enough water is found to fill this tank. Well, it's the Upside Down, so if the water fell, but the water tank was sealed, so the water didn't escape. I'm sorry, that's just trolling. Question 22. Will recalls visiting Melvin's general store for milkshakes, yet milkshakes are only shown sold there in the stage play over 25 years earlier. Well, I don't get this question, since when is there a law that says the store can only sell milkshakes for 24 years? That's not a thing. Question 23. Why did the power lever at the Squawk radio station change? The power lever was changed because of the power surge in episode 1 of season 5. Question number 24. If Eleven's death was an illusion generated by Kelly, how did she maintain it when it was the lab where she was last seen that exploded first? Well, there was no illusion and 11 did die. Mike is just coping. Question number 25. Why was the Upside Down frozen on November 6, 1983? Well, because that was the day 11 first opened the portal, which leads us to the next question. Question 26. Why was Will taken on November 6? Well, because that's the day the portal opened. He couldn't have been taken sooner. Question 27. Why was Will specifically taken? Because Vecna saw fear as weakness, and Will had a lot of fear. He wanted someone weak of mind so he could easily break them, and Will, being a queer kid in the 80s, was likely the kid with the most fear in that whole town. So, from Vecna's perspective, he was the weakest. Question 28. How did the wormhole form? Well, my interpretation of it, I might be wrong, correct me if I am, 11 basically created a bridge when Dr. Brenner had her searching for Henry. Question 29. How did the exotic matter form? From what Dustin finds out, it was Brenner, but the details, I don't know, should have been explained. Another one I will concede. Question number 30. If the Upside Down is frozen, how come Will can see the Christmas lights and letters which were purchased and hung up after that date? It's all explained in season 4 when Nancy, Steve, Eddie, and Robin go to the Wheeler house in the Upside Down. The people in the Upside Down can hear the things that are happening around them in the right side up. It is also explained that when they touch the lights, it brightens, but it is also explained that they can see the lights brightening in the Upside Down. Even when they don't have a light there necessarily, that is shown when they get Holly's toys with all those lights and start writing on it, even though it is not connected to anything. The toy is not there physically, but the light that it generates can be seen in the Upside Down. So, with all that in mind, in season 1, when Dale said that Will was a pretty smart kid, he caught on that he could speak through the lights. So first he starts speaking to his mother by flickering the lights, if I remember correctly. 1 for yes and 2 for no. Then she sets up the Christmas lights and writes a letter of the alphabet for each of them. Will can see the letters, but he can see the light that are emitted when he is close to them. Being a smart kid and probably hearing what his mom was doing, he correctly deduced it was the alphabet. And then it's just simple reasoning. The first one's A, the second one's B, and so on. Question 31. How did Max go from blinded, limp in multiple places and brain dead to 100% normal? Well, I'll give you guys that she should have stayed blind, but the rest, like, bones healed, especially in 18 months, and she wasn't brain dead. Her mind was, like, inside Vecna's. Question 32. Okay, this one just pissed me off. Like, the show never definitely answered who's in charge of Henry. Does he control the mind fluid particles, or do they control him? Like, no, the show does explain that explicitly. Neither Vecna nor the Mind Flayer control one another. It's a mutually beneficial relationship for them, as Vecna himself says. Question 33. In season 4, Vecna tells Eleven that she had banished him to a new place, but from the stage play we know he visited there when he was 9 years old. That is not shown in the series. It apparently is not canon, so it's not a plot hole. Question 34. What happened to the third waterfall Mike talked about? Well, there's like a super tiny one in the right corner. Does that count? I mean, yes, if you have 3 dogs and one of them is like really small, to just say like you have 2 dogs. Question 35. Why did Vecna need exactly 12 kids? Was it a clock reference? It seemed to be a part of a ritual that's never explained. Well, yeah, because he only had 12 extra seats in his house. Question 36. Why didn't Will control any of the Demogorgons who were supposed to originate from the Abyss in the final battle against Vecna? Well, this one's tricky, guys. I don't know. Maybe it's because there were no Demogorgons. How would he control them if they were not there? Question 37. The attack on Hawkins was covered up as an earthquake, but thousands of Hawkins residents, including the military personnel, saw the monsters. Actually, no. Every military personnel died in that scene, almost all of them, and no civilians were around to see the monsters. Also, the military was already aware of the monsters. Question number 38. How did Elle get into school with no social security number or elementary education? Dr. Owens gave 11 documents in the season 2 ending. Just watch it. It's there. Question 39. How does Joyce afford to move the entire family to California on a retail worker's salary? Again, Dr. Owens helped Joyce move to Lenora, as he himself says to 11 in season 4. Question 40. How come they didn't try using the military sound emitters against Vecna? Well, for a start, they didn't have one, but even if they did, it would affect 11 as well, kind of losing the point of having that. How did the Russians get into the Upside Down if it was just a wormhole? Again, that's explained in season 3, episode 1. They couldn't open the Upside Down in Russia. That's why they had to go through Hawkins. That's why they had to build an entire mall just to cover it up. Question number 42. The air in the Upside Down, is it toxic or is it not? Well, in season 1 they thought it was, but the truth is that it kind of is a bit toxic. It's toxic like shrimp is toxic. If you eat too much of it, you'll end up in a hospital. But if you get exposed to a bit of it, then it's okay. The evidence for this is in season 2 when Hopper is in the tunnels. He's breathing only a little bit of the toxicity, so he's okay. Then when that spore thing explodes in his face, he goes unconscious because it's too much. So the answer is it's a bit toxic. Question 43. What happened to Will's dad? Still being a piece of shit? Probably. Not something we needed to see. Question 44. Why didn't the military arrest everyone? Why wasn't Robin arrested for stealing drugs from the hospital? Why wasn't Nancy arrested for killing multiple soldiers? Good question. Really, that one is like super relevant. Good point. Like, it was plot armor. Even if the main characters had dirt on the military, as some people were theorizing, it still wouldn't make sense how everything is just forgotten. Again, good point. Question number 45. Why didn't Mike ever learn that it wasn't Al that commissioned that painting? Well, because that's the tragedy of Will's love for his straight buddy, guys. This thing happens sometimes in life, you know? He just let it go. And also, after Al died, it would have been weird and also a bit of a stain in Al's memories for him to just tell Mike that, so Will just take it like a champ. Question 46. Who opened the door so that Demo could catch Will? Probably Vecna. We can see that these powers have a lot of range, but yeah, it should have been clearly answered because the Duffers were setting that up to have an answer, as they said in interviews, like a clear answer. So another one that it's a good criticism. Okay, question 47. Birthday Gate? Well, for those who do not know, Birthday Gate is a theory by part of the fandom because they realized that Will's birthday is on March 22nd and that Mike arrives in California in March 22nd in season 4, but no one ever mentioned anything. So the theory is that Will was being forgotten with time, something to do with Vecna. I'm not gonna go deeper into this. There are probably a million videos here on YouTube about this, on TikTok as well. My opinion is this is the Duffers being lazy and are not catching their mistake. That's a plot hole. That doesn't make sense. It's a problem. It should have been addressed. Question 48. Who was the traitor that the Duffers talked about in interview? Okay, so I don't think like all the time the show writers have to answer everything that they say on interviews. They have to answer the things that they say on the show, like on the actual show that we watch, but the interviews, no. But even then, like, you can presume it's Scully because she was trying to convince Elle to end her life. Again, though, it's not necessary to have an answer. They were wrong for setting that up in interviews, but they didn't set it up on the show itself. So not a plot hole, not an unanswered question, just they should have shut up. What happened to the letters that Max wrote during season 4? Well, good question, but she didn't die, so I guess they just don't address it. They should have. I don't think it's a plot hole, but it's bad writing. But again, that's the Duffers. They're men. They're always been. Question 50. How did Max not get surprised by Hopper being alive? Well, this one was tricky and it requires a bit of interpretation, but it is established that she can kind of hear the real world in her mind when she's in Kamazot. So, though it's a bit messy, okay, but in episode 1 of season 5, we see Will talking to her in the hospital bed. So maybe she kind of hears them and they keep like saying what's happening to her and she just heard it. But yeah, it should have been explicitly clarified. Question 51. Why is everyone suddenly okay with Hellfire? Because time heals all wounds. I'm sorry, but seriously though, we clearly see that it's mostly the jocks that hate Hellfire and they never fully prove that Eddie killed Chrissy. So with time, these things die out and like they had 3 years since all the events and like 1.5 years since the beginning of the season where Dusty is persecuted. So probably they graduated and that died out because they clearly look older than our main characters. Question 52. Where did Kali get her powers? From Hermge's blood, just like how this is explicit also. Explained like in detail, just paid attention. Question 53. What happened to Elle's mom? Again, would it have been nice to see what happened? Yeah. Is it a plot hole? No, she served her purpose. She doesn't have a purpose in the story anymore. Question 54. How did Mike know how to build a bomb? Well, yeah, that's insane a bit. But this goes into something that I've hated about all seasons except season 1. Because like in season 1, it is shown that all of them are nerds. But for some reason after season 2, only Dustin is smart. Season 1, Mike could have definitely built a bomb. He could have built a nuclear bomb. So yeah, I agree. I don't get this either. Question 55. Elle revived Mac in season 4. Why did they not address this? They addressed indirectly. Elle Michelle revived Max's body, but her mind went to Henry. But yeah, it should have been addressed. Question 56. Why could music help solve Vecna in season 4? Again, it is explained in season 4 that music activates part of the brain and helps with some functions of the brain. It is all there, guys. It's just you kind of forgot. Question 57. What was the kryptonite? What was it made of? Well, likely sound and energy frequency that affects the augmented brain of people like Eleven, but it's not necessary to explain what it is. It's just a plot device. Question 58. Are the kids now connected to the Mind Flayer? Probably, just like Will, but they didn't have enough time to explore this, nor should they. It would have made Will's journey kind of stupid because he gets a lot of more time to figure out stuff than the kids. It's actually good that they didn't even touch on this. Question 59. How did they not discover the walls during the crawls? We see the map of the crawls in the projector in episode 1. They just hadn't gotten to where the walls are yet. Question 60. Why is the Upside Down just Hawkins? Because the exotic matter had a range, since it is a circle with the center right on top of it. Question 61. What happened to Mike and Elle in the 18 months? Didn't they fight at the end of season 4? Yes, they did fight at the end of season 4, and then in the end of season 4, Mike declared his love for her when she is in Vecna's mind fighting him. Question 62. How did Elle recognize Will in season 1? She probably felt him in the Upside Down when she was in the dark water place in her mind. Question 63. Why didn't Steve's car destroy that wall? Why didn't it cause a rift? Because the wall isn't made of paper, it was thick, so the car didn't get through because it didn't have enough force. We see that Eleven herself can open a hole to that. Question 64. How did Russia have Mind Flayer particles? They were from the Demogorgons that they got when they were in Hawkins, and that we see open in season 4 when Joyce, Hopper, and Murray return to the prison. Question 65. What happened to the Russia plot? Well, it ended. Question 66. Why did they shoot Kelly if they wanted to use her blood? Well, Kelly's blood didn't work, as they state clearly in the show, and also that officer was going rogue, as they also clearly state in the show. Okay, and to end, question 67. Why is Will still connected to the Mind Flayer even after the Mind Flayer particles left him? Okay, imagine the Mind Flayer particles are like a virus. When it enters the body, it alters the body. The body starts to recognize it, and it changes to deal with the virus. After the virus is gone, the body doesn't change back to the way it was before. Now it has registered the virus, even when there's not a molecule of original material left. The Mind Flayer entered Will's body, it altered it, permanently changed Will. After it left, those changes remained. So basically those were all the questions I have seen people online claim as a plot hole or unanswered. I hope I was able to clarify most of them. As I said in the beginning, the purpose of this video is just to debunk the claims that this show's writing is awful. It's not. It is simplistic, but if you did like it like I did, and people have been trying to shame you by claiming it has bad writing, just show them this video and go on liking it, because it was good. Not perfect, but good. That's it for this video. If you guys have any questions that were not in it, please comment them below. I'll try to answer them if I can. Maybe I'll make part 2. And if you like the video, then like, subscribe, and push the notification button. And see you in the next video.